Thank you. The cost of living crisis is being felt by thousands of Wirral residents and workers, and as the days get colder towards autumn, even more people on the Wirral will have to choose between heating and eating. 1 in 4 Wirral residents are in the bottom 10% household income for England, and prices are going up, as we've heard, by 9% and rising. Energy bills are going up, and 1 in 6 people suffer from in-work poverty. One of the simplest actions Wirral Council could take to reduce in-work poverty is to ensure all its workers and service providers are paid at least the real living wage. It's currently £9.90 an hour. On the Wirral, all party leaders agreed the real living wage for care workers in April 2020. So more than 2 years later, it is a bit disappointing to read in the budget outturn report that for adult care, the outturn reflects some slippage against providers yet to sign up to the real living wage fee rates agreed at Adults Committee in 7th of June. As we know, the budget is already there. It wouldn't affect the budget. It's been provided for, but it hasn't been implemented by providers of care. The report to Adult Committee last June showed that 42% of Wirral care home residents are cared for by workers paid less than the real living wage. And what's more, the real living wage for frontline carers shouldn't be the end of it. Every worker delivering services...
Jo, we're not here for the night. Can you just get to your point of your amendment, please? I mean, this, and can I just say, I'm not prepared to have the committee that I chair used in this way by you. So if you just want to get to your the actual nub of your amendment, rather than give us background, which we're all aware of.
Right. So, every worker delivering services for Wirral Council should be paid at least the real living wage. It's £9.90 an hour. 23 other principal authorities pay that and are accredited by the Real Living Wage Foundation. This committee, Policy and Resources, last considered the issue in March last year. It was estimated that the additional uplift cost for all council employees and contractors would cost between 0.6 million and 1.2 million.
Right.
And it was resolved by PNR that a further report would be submitted to the Policy and Resources Committee. And given the cost of living crisis, I'm just moving...
Yes, we've had all that, Jo. You've had your 5 minutes.
I have not had 5 minutes. We should
Seemed
move
longer.
the urgent process on this issue through the amendment. The amendment does not propose to change the budget. The amendment is simply that a further report be submitted to Policy and Resources Committee by its first meeting in September regarding the real living wage being paid to all workers delivering council services.
Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
As seconder of the motion. Yep. Okay. Well, we've had a few things clarified. I mean, Chair has clarified, the Director of Resources has clarified that we had a report on the real living wage, that we were promised another report on the real living wage, which we haven't had. So it's entirely reasonable to raise the issue that we were promised a report which we haven't had. It's entirely reasonable to raise that, and to raise it at a time when so many people are struggling, as we know, and has just been highlighted by the difficulties that we've heard about in the adult care market. Now, I'm really disappointed at the way some people have responded to this. Tom, you know, at the I think it was the last PNR meeting, you hijacked the CAT debate to bring in an amendment about Brackenwood on the night. Now, with all due respect to the leader, you didn't lay into Tom when he did that. So I'm really disappointed at the tone of... can I finish? Yeah, by all means, come back in when I'm finished, but I am really disappointed at the tone, at the way this has been handled. It's a perfectly reasonable request, which members are perfectly reasonably entitled to reject if they don't want it to come forward. But all we are asking for is the report that we were promised that would detail what the cost to the authority would be if we were to pay the real living wage to everybody who is employed delivering council services. It's not an unreasonable request. It's perfectly reasonable. What is unreasonable is the way that some people have responded to that. It's entirely unnecessary. By all means, vote down the amendment if you don't like it, but please treat it with the respect it deserves. It's an important issue, which it is important to highlight, and to get what we were promised in the past is a perfectly reasonable ask.
I would like to respond.
Joe, I think
to
you've spoken
several-
enough. We're going to move to the vote.
I think that's bullying, actually, and I would like to
Joe,
respond
we're moving to the vote.
to several comments.
Joe, you've
been
had
made
enough
about me.
chance to put your argument
I
forward.
haven't.
You've spoken enough.
I've
We're
had
going
one
to
opportunity
we're going to
to
move
speak.
to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hand. All those against? Okay. 2 in favour, 13 against. We now move to the recommendations.